Turn that way. Now you can. Just a little bit too. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mini Paint and Chill on this here channel called Wheeler's Minis. I'm Wheeler, your host for this lovely Tuesday afternoon. Before we get started, a few quick things to get out of the way. One, if you aren't already following the channel, please do. If you have the financial ability to, please consider subscribing or supporting me on any of the other things that I have. My website, buying a piece, or what have you. Ko-Fi as well. Means the world to me. Follow me on my socials at Wheeler's Minis on pretty much everything. If you're watching this on YouTube, hi YouTube, welcome in. So we finished up the things that I wanted to get done last Thursday, so now we're going to be working on some of the stuff that's just been kind of sitting here for a while, i.e. these Magecraft individuals, this Storm one, and the Pyromancer as well. So that's what we're going to be working on. Let me just check the levels, make sure that things are going fine. It looks like it is. That's good. All right. So to get started, I think we're going to start with the base pieces first, just so we can get those out of the way. They're going to get some speed paint on them. Not black. Like, actually, if I'm going to do... They're going to be darker storm clouds, obviously, so I'm going to do a black speed paint on them to start. Way. Then we're going to hit up the actual bits of lightning with a fluorescent blue. Go from there. The fluorescent blue that I'm using is the golden high flow fluorescent blue. I think I have that. I do. It just mimics washes because it's made for an airbrush and not for a regular brush. You can use it with a regular brush, but it goes on like a washer speed paint, so that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah. Hello, thank you for coming in and hanging out. But yeah, we're gonna just getting this kind of wash. The back end of it is gonna look kind of empty because it's black. Not really gonna have too much texture on it from this speed paint, but I just want to get this done up first before I start getting into the actual meat and bones of what I want to paint today. See how long it takes, see what we can get done. Hopefully that's a decent amount. We're starting off with the black on this because that's going to be the base for the storm cloud. When we come back over it, it'll already have a really nice deep shadow, which is perfect because I'm going to be doing a bit of darker clouds as storm clouds are wont to be. Nice black in there. Oh. And ironically, this fluorescent is the only one that I could not find a... I don't even need that much, but this is the only fluorescent that I couldn't find in the regular bits. regular type of paint, so non-high flow. So it's really just gonna, it's going on there as a base. It's fluorescent, but it's definitely not like, I don't know the best way to put it. It's fluorescent, but it's not fluorescent in the way that like it's, oh my gosh, knock your socks off, bright like the orange or the yellow. We're just gonna get some paint on here, and the difference in kind of shadow and stuff is going to help out a lot in the long run. But yeah, hopefully it turns out as good as the last thing I did with lightning effects. It's always a good start to have white and then fluorescent blue. The blue gets in places, it's not the worst thing because it's going to get painted over, but also it'll give the look of there actually being kind of lightning going through the clouds. So we'll see how it ends up looking. Not going to be perfect, but it doesn't have to be because we can come back through and hit it with more bluish, very light blue tones. So again, having just a little bit of variation in the color is never a bad thing, especially for lightning, because it very rarely is the same color throughout. So, all right, I already did the base for the other one with orange. So we're not going to do OSL on this one because then the whole mini would basically just be that like reddish tone, fluorescent red. We're kind of going into the presumption that this is giving off light, but it's so close that it's just kind of lightening her whole deal up. So what I wanted to do was get like a reddish orange for her get up, and then just kind of work on it from there. What we're gonna do with that deep a reddish orange molten lava. That's a good starting point for a pyromancer. We're just gonna, this is gonna be our base color for the clothing, so it's going to go everywhere to start with. And then what I'm going to do is keep the underneath of the cloth this color, but work my way up the orange family tree or color tree to get the high points on this outfit. Hopefully it ends up looking the way that I want it to. I've done a lot of character models recently. Well, that's not true. I've done a lot of character models off stream recently, but I haven't done any on stream. And most of them have been with the guidance of someone's, color scheme on Hero Forge or what have you. So kind of coming in with my own idea I haven't done in a while on a character. I'm interested to see how this ends up looking. Honestly, I think it should look good. Again, the fire-based creature having oranges and things like that may seem a bit overkill, especially since the base is going to be like pure orange. But I think it'll end up looking good in the end. We have to paint it to see. We'll see what we can get done on her today. Maybe also do some work on the other one. Like I said, we'll just see what we can get done in the next couple hours and go from there. I think the lava orange is a good starting point though, again, because it's like a nice deeper kind of reddish orange comparatively to the fluorescent that's on the base, which is just very, very bright. And we might get up to that point with, some of the highlights and things, but that's what they'll be. They'll be highlights, so. So I have not been very good at using colors that I'm not used to using. So using an orange is, while it's common for me to use with fire, I don't really use it on clothing and things like that. And I'm trying to use the paints that I have to their fullest potential. I have so many of them now that I want to make sure that they're all at least getting some use somehow. I'm very, very commonly using browns and things like that to paint models. Using a color that I'm not used to is always a fun challenge. It really can be a fun challenge for anyone who's painting anything. Challenge yourself to paint with a color that you've never used before. It's a good way to, hey buddy, been this bug that's been, watched the previous streams, there's been a bug who's just been around, and he's just, every time I start painting he just comes out, probably because I've got the humidifier going on over here and he's like, it is wet over here, and I like that. Get this on the base underside. It's already been primed. Try to make sure that everything gets primed before I paint it. Sometimes it's not as good as other times that I've primed it before, but it will do. This one though is primed pretty well. And then it has this for sure. Gotta see. At least I think that's for sure. Let me see if I can find a picture for this, because companies like to make renders. That's the same. That's actually her body. All the same. I gotta figure it out. That's actually her body. This will be the same color. Do as well is real quick. And I kind of want it to be a little bit more cohesive than the render that they gave me. So while it may not be the same garment color throughout, I think what I would like to do is still keep it within like the idea of flames. I'll probably go over to a red for her like top. Do a red for the top. Her underpants part, I'll probably just do a red leather. And for her little pauldron, we'll do that red leather too, because it's like it's dark enough to where I think it'll look pretty decent. Yeah, I'm hoping so. Like it's deep enough to where it's like a cooler red, which isn't going to go with the other red that I'm using, but I think that in the end it'll fit really well. This just means that I can, even though it is a cooler red, I could still use a warm red to highlight it. Yeah, I like the color of the leather. It's good. I'm not being too careful here just because there's no real need to be at this point. I do want to make sure that I'm not being egregious with getting color in other places that it's not supposed to be, but I'm not super focused on making sure that color gets exactly where it needs to be. Part of that is because this is the base coat, so there's going to be more work that gets put on over top of it. And the other part of that is because I'm really shaky right now for no reason. I've had water, food, I had a little bit of caffeine earlier, so it might be that, but I'm going to take my Adderall today. I feel great. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that I am actually staying on top of this. I've really been enjoying painting recently, which has been fun. Um, but like not letting my brain go, oh man, you're really tired, you don't want to do this. And it's like, no, I actually do want to do this. It's been something that has been like a nice little reprieve from the day recently. And it feels great to be able to enjoy a hobby again and really enjoy the work that I've been doing with it too. Like some of the character work that I've been doing for friends and things like that. Just absolutely so cool. All right, so these little things are going to be orange too. But the pauldrons, like I said, they're going to have that red on top of them, and then it's going to be um, so the red's going to be up here, and then I'll probably hit it up with like a leather brown mixed with that a little bit, just to keep those brown tones in there. Um, yeah. Um, go ahead and get these painted up the color that they need to be, since on the thing they match it. And like, I don't think it's ever bad going into a situation having a reference photo for what someone says it should look like, because it gives you a better idea of where colors go. I don't have the That's not true. I do have the creative brain to do it. I just don't ever have it on command, especially when I'm on stream. So having something as a reference photo really helps me out, so I have a better understanding of where colors are supposed to be going, uh, according to how the maker of the model saw this character. And it's something over time, like you'll definitely get better at. But right now I like having a reference photo so I can do what I want to do. Yeah. It really sucks some days when I'm trying to focus on it. The Adderall does ironically help with the shakes a little bit, but I just didn't want to take it today because it's been making me like be able to feel my heartbeat, and that's something that like was really bad during my anxiety. And it's been better today, but I'm still gonna take it. Like it's helpful for other things, and I'm not just gonna like cold turkey stop it. Um, but I asked for an extended release Adderall recently, and it's new. That's what I've been taking. So I think it's just a bit of a buffer period of my body getting used to having light meth inside of my system. Oh yeah, it's awful. Especially something that I haven't been dealing with, but um, he was dealing with some of their new supplements that they were taking. It was just causing like low blood pressure, and they were like, "Why do I feel so lightheaded all the time?" And I was like, "It's probably because of this." And they're like, yeah, that's probably it." Low blood pressure is not fun. Makes you feel like you're dying, which is not indicative to being alive. Now I'm just going back over the work that I did before with the kind of same coat. Just two thin coats makes the brain go burr, so they say. But in reality, it helps make sure that the color is solid. It may end up looking the same once it's dry, but it'll have more of a um, uniform look across the board when you do a second coat. Making sure that you're doing it properly. I'm not worried too much about the underside, unless it's a part that's showing pretty heavily on the model, because that's going to have its own ways of dancing shadows and things like that. And just keeping it darker and less uniform is actually beneficial overall. So. Not too worried about getting paint in places where it's not supposed to go at the moment, because gonna be gone over. So the red leather bit's there, and then the top we're gonna start with Resplendent because that's the warm red that we have. I think it's just gonna look good with the rest. We'll start to get into her skin tones and things like that. She's definitely going to be more of a darker skinned individual. I think the whole getup lends itself to that look, that skin tone. If I want to deepen this up, I've got some dark red tone that I can put on it. Anything that's metal is probably going to get like a brass tone to it. I think it'll go along with the color scheme really well. Brass or gold. Does really well with the orange. Yeah. Trying to do better at making sure the metals that I use match the we'll get it. All right, now we get to the fun part, which is warm skin tone. They're so They're unbelievably red though. I think I'm gonna start with topaz. Yeah, I like it. Topaz is the third from the bottom in this one, but they go on so red. I did a character model for someone with these. They've got little boots, not boots, but like sandals on too. I'll do that when we get closer. So those look good. So what we'll do here too is, while this will be our dark tone, for the skin, we'll still hit it up with a skin shade, and that should help darken it a little bit more too. That's a later step. Making sure that we get some skin tone everywhere that needs to be. Trying to make sure that we don't put it in places that it doesn't need to be. And get good coverage. Heel is out there. This side, same thing. Rest. Again, probably won't be seen too much. Still want to make sure that it gets some skin tone on it. A good skin tone for it. That looks really good. It matches with the colors really well. Well, it is very warm. Not abundantly to the point of just being straight red. Those little, I think they're metal bits, but if they're not, they're leather. And when you go in with one leather color on the model, it's good to like keep that consistent, because you want to, again, make sure that you have a consistent color scheme on the model. So the red leather that I was using for other parts of her body, i.e. her undergarments and the pauldrons and things, that's the leather color that we're going to use across the model. And that's just going to create more cohesion, make sure that looks good. Things of that nature. I'm going to try to make sure that the application is clean for the skin, because that is definitely where you want there to not be as much texture in the paint. The skin tends to be relatively smooth. Even if I do have to let it dry and then come back over it, just with a very watered down version, that's okay. this foot. Again, not a piece that's going to be seen, probably, but it's still good to have paint on it to make sure that everything is cohesive and color is where it needs to be. I don't know, and we'll see. Maybe I'll give her pedicure and give her some colored nails or something. But I do like that skin tone. I think it looks very good and it lends itself to the rest of the coloring of the model, so. Especially when a skin shade gets on there, it's just gonna look that much better. And for her hair, I think I'm just gonna go black. I'll have to see though. And I'll definitely have to go back over these spots that I'm touching a bunch with my oily hands. It's just kind of hard to paint specifically. She's just got such a wide stance. Put her back on there with the brush. Get some more of that. Just go back over it. Not the craziest or the most difficult thing. Can just be annoying, especially later on when you're painting and you're starting to get towards what is the end-ish of the model, and you just have to go back over and do stuff you've already done. That was like your first, so it can be annoying, but it's necessary, especially if you're not using a handle or things like that. So, or you could be smart and wear a glove, but I'm stupid. What we might do, just based off of, I don't know what time it is right now. 42 already. Yeah, so what we might do is get her to a point where we can get a wash on her, and then start the other one, and then finish her on Thursday. But then see what we can get done. Do everything in my power for 2 hours. I like the skin tone. Some of the skin tones from the new Fnatic set are actually really good, and they have quite a few, especially since there's like now a color family. So this is number 3 in the warm skin tone family. But there's also like a dark skin tone family and a rosy skin tone, and then I think there's one more, like a bright skin tone. So there's like 4 skin tone families to get in the complete set, which is really nice because, man, painting different colored skin is so much fun. Not having to paint pink pasty skin all the time. Don't get me wrong. They have their place in certain models, but being able to appreciate the diversity of the world through the character models I paint has been one of the nicest things about being a miniature painter. Really started to get printing down pat because these hands have very tiny fingers on them, and they succeeded in being printed almost perfectly. That is no easy feat, especially when you have to take it off of support structure. I can't tell you how many times I've lost hands or arms do the post-processing of models that have just come off the printer. Honestly, she printed pretty well. I was really surprised when I got her and the other one off the build plate that they printed perfectly. Almost. There's some small pieces here and there that didn't quite print out exactly how they're supposed to, but for the most part, they printed really well. That's always nice. You don't have to go back and reprint the same model over and over again till you get it right. And honestly, that's a shout out to the creators of the models actually making sure that when they go through and make the models available online, they actually print them and make sure that they come out successfully. So shout out to the people who are testing the prints and get them to where they're at. It means the world to someone like me who really hates reprinting the same thing over and over again. Really gets one, because by that point I'm just like, this has been more work than it needs to be and I don't want to paint it anymore. Even worse when you finally get it to work properly and then you go into paint it and a little piece snaps off while you're painting it and you're just like, wow, this kind of sucks. Just getting skin tone around her neck right now, making sure that it has at least some skin tone on it. A lot of the more intricate places that I can't really reach with the brush are fine because again, they're going to get hit by a wash, so it's going to be a little bit easier to handle. You know, thinking about this though, I understand the model needing to look good, you wanting to have some dynamic pose to this thing. Really just thinking about it like logically, this is just not the best outfit for a being that deals with fire. I mean, you've got so much exposed skin, you're gonna get burned. You know what? Who am I to judge? I'm the guy who literally goes and cooks on an open stove with oil without a shirt on. As my wife come up to me and says, "What's that mark on you?" Oh, I burned myself with oil. Oh yeah. So the belt down here is going to get the same as the leather red when we get to that point. But for the base coat, since we're focusing more on making sure that she has paint everywhere, you don't need to worry about the specifics of the face. You can get to that later down the line when you start to get into detail work. Just making sure that like things that would have skin tone on them have skin tone on them, I think is the name of the game right now. If you're just getting the base coat on. The eyes you can paint white later, but having a base of the skin tone is going to help them. You still want to be just a little bit careful it's not getting overworked or anything like that, but getting it into where it needs to go is going to be super beneficial. So I don't know if I have a orange tone. I might need to use a speed paint for that one, but I don't think I have an orange tone wash. I know for a fact I have a dark red and a red. It might be an orange tone. Got this like beaded thing that on the thing is like red. Same color as her hair. I don't know if I want to do that though. To have some variation to it. Even if these dangles down here are metallic, I'll just go back over them right now again. What my focus is getting paint on the pieces so that we can start working on monsters and things like that. And then really start harping on the specifics once we get past that. Again, like I said earlier, since everything that I've been doing that I've been like, yes, that's leather, has been this red leather color, that's the color that all of the leather is going to be, just so that there's some cohesion in the color scheme. These pieces. Again, sometimes the beauty of this is that when you do put a wash or something on there, it gets some of the mistakes that you made covered up. don't want to rely too heavily on that method, but you can kind of lean on it a little bit to help mask some spaces that you may not have the easiest time getting into with a brush. Color on it, something good. Back over, see if you're missing anything. Still don't know what color I'm gonna do with that thing. I did know that if I was going to do darker skin tone on her, I was going to do more of a black hair. So, working on now. Black yesterday, so we'll see how well it holds and takes. I am still going to be hitting the spots that are going to have black in them in the prime, but it's good just to make sure you get color everywhere. Maybe I'll make it like a little brass belt. I think that's what I'm gonna do, just to give it some fun. Here is pretty much done. Alright, then we'll take some. Your brass is going to be the top. So we'll do weapon bronze. Is the mid. Getting the base coat on is always fun, especially because, like, for a lot of people, for a tabletop ready, this is technically all the work you need to do. Maybe just a little bit of work on like giving her eyes or something, but if you really wanted to, you wouldn't really have to do much else past this and still have a pretty decent looking painted model. But for me, it's always like it's a fun moment of sitting down and looking at all the work and looking at it and going, man, there's still so much to be done, but it's gonna look so good at the end. Super excited about it. She's looking pretty good so far. Really like the color scheme that I went with. Rings on, so we'll hit those up too. Where? Again, being careful, but understanding that there's a lot that's currently going on with her, so if something gets in a place where it's not supposed to go, it probably will get painted over a few times if I had to guess, so no harm, no foul. Yeah, because her base is basically fire, doing an OSL, like I said at the beginning of this, just doesn't. Her whole body would just be orange. So while that does sound somewhat interesting, I think giving her some actual color that is going to be seen is not the worst thing. That's why I'm going with that idea instead of completely painting her the color of the white. Oh, though, she's looking pretty good. Now it's just going through, making sure everything has the color that we want on it, because that is the most important thing before we hit the next step. So. Right. Go. Wrong skin shade. And honestly, I don't think I'm even going to go for the dark red. I think I'm just going to go straight into strong skin shade on everything. At least the like leather. I think I'll keep it away from the orange. Make it a little bit too brown for my vision of what I want the color scheme to be. But the skin for sure. Any of the dark red leather bits. also do the same for up here too, just to have some cohesion. Like I said, I want the orange to be just a little bit different, but I don't think it is as important if the red has just a little bit of a brown tinge to it, because I am gonna go back over it obviously and kind of paint it up. So giving it a little bit of depth is not a bad thing. It would help kind of clarify the model a bit more. Second, so I can see if I have an orange tone. I, in fact, do have an orange. Look at that. This. Very orange. It may not look like much now, but as I bring up the highlight on these, I think this actually will help deepen the shadows quite a bit. So glad that I found this. I'm glad that I just did the minimal amount of effort to look for it. And then see if I can get it on the bottom too. I'm not too worried about it on the bottom. Like I said, this color is going to kind of stay the same. I might do a little bit of work with some like dark orange and black mix, but cool model. I'm really glad I printed her out. She's part of the Monster Slayers set that Crippled God Foundry did a Kickstarter for a few months ago. And she caught my eye, and I was just like, ooh, I want to paint her. And then the other one that we're going to get started on here in a second, I saw her, and I was like, ooh, I want to paint her. Hopefully these turn out just how I want them to. When they're done, they'll be up on the website, which I'm super excited about. I'm just trying to make sure I have stock build up for any conventions that I'm going to be doing this year. So, yeah. Good start for her. She's looking real good. And her base is this, and these pieces go over. I think. This goes like that, and the other little piece here, maybe something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's her base. She's looking pretty good to start with, and now we will move on to this lovely lady. First and foremost, I know that her hair is going to be a darker or a like whitish tone. I want her to kind of look like Storm from X-Men, so that's the vibe I'm going for. I have a picture of her too, do you like to pull up? This one is the Storm Wizard of Rose. She's gonna have a kind of vibe like that, but not fully. I'm gonna do more blues and stuff and not make her look as strange. But we're gonna start with. So we're gonna go blue-gray with it. So we're gonna start with Night Sky and Thunderous. Night Sky is gonna be the back. And Thunderous are going to be these little pieces right here. Those. These are within the same color family. This is just the deepest tone and then the next one up. But I just want to start them at different points because we're going to have different colors on them. And maybe I'll do like a gray trim on this or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But again, for now, we're just focused on getting paint on the model. It's a base coat. On my table for a while too, so glad I got around to these girls. Neat. Kind of cool. Hopefully at the end they look cool. I highly doubt that they will. Yeah, like I said, I might do like a gray trim on these, but for now, just getting some color on them is what I'm focused on. So it may not be what it looks like at the end, but that's okay. I love these desaturated gray blues. They are blue grays, really, really deep in tone, and I just love the way that they look. The Big Behir that I did had a lot of these tones in it. I think that's why I enjoy them so much, because they're my favorite pieces that I've ever done. Start. I think for her too, a lot of the leather on here is going to be like a gray leather. I don't really have a gray leather color, but just using gray mixed with some deep brown might do the job. See how that looks. Getting the off here, paint it up. Pigmentation on these specific blues are just really intense and vibrant. I love that. Which is funny because this is the base tone for this, but it'll be the mid tone for the back cloak. And then the highlight for back cloak will be the mid-tone for these front pieces. One of the benefits of using the same color family is that you just get to continue using the same colors. But you're less wasteful with your paint. I have a very bad tendency of using way more paint than I do. Maximizing its use is always of import to me. And staying within the same kind of family wheel of color really help ensure that you use all of the paint that you put on the palette. Some leather bits, but not all. Really good. But we'll do our best. Yeah, literally.
Going over again.
Okay.
Anyway.
Stream.
Just be talking to you while you're streaming ever been a problem.
That's good. It looks pretty good, yeah. Minutes left. Decent headway on her. We're gonna do deep gray. This. Gonna look a little monotone, but that's fine. This means I get to do more with the detail work. think she's gonna look pretty good once the detail work is in and it's starting to shine through. So we're going with a deep gray mixed with a little bit of brigandine brown for the leather bits. Because again, I kind of want her to have just this very stormy themed. She's a storm wizard after all. This will help that vibe kind of pop a little bit more. So brigandine brown and the deep gray together just make this kind of grayish brown leather color, which is kind of what I wanted. That's what we're going with for now. Change my mind later, I can always switch it up. It's not the end of the world, but I just think that this is gonna help get the color scheme that I want. Interesting. But that mixture is just a 1-to-1. What you can start to do when you're kind of blending colors together to get a color that you want is starting with a ratio that makes the most sense, a 1-to-1 ratio, and then kind of working your way up from there to find the color that you want. And the best way, the reason why going 1-to-1 at first is so good for that is because you can look at it and you can go, okay, I want more, for this color that I'm doing right now. If I did it and I was like, okay, I want more gray, then you can just add more gray, and you do the same amount. And then once you get the color that you like, you go, okay, so it was this many to this many, and then you can easily repeat it again if you need more of that color. So this kind of helps out. Make sure that you don't oversaturate the color with one or the other. And in case you use all of it and need it again, it's able to be replicated. Which is really nice for me. Front end, which is really always a good thing. over here real quick. Rehydrate. Gotta make sure I'm staying hydrated when I'm painting. It's real important. Just like you want to make sure that your brush doesn't run out of water in it, you too want to make sure that you don't run out of water too. Okay. Fortunately, drinking the somewhat dirty paint water does not count. Unfortunately. Nice little bits of the leather bits are glass sleeve.
Must be a walkable cosplay.
Yeah. Hey man. It's walkable.
Yeah, it's not the word. Actually,
Oh. Oh. Got this weird Scarlet Witch mask thing going on. Ironically, this is the last bit of this leather. But it also means I can just go back over any pieces that I missed. This last little batch I did. Everything's got that color on it. It needs to. Skin tone. This, we got deep skin tones. We're going to start with obsidian and work our way up from there. Obsidian is very dark though, it is. Basically black. That ironically kind of matches the skin tone or the tone of the that I did for the leather. This is a little bit more brown. Deeply dark. Exactly. That's what I wanted the base with. Maybe what I'll do instead of brown for the highlights of this leather, I'll do gray. It doesn't get too closely to the skin tone that I chose to do for this model. Differentiate between the skin and the leather because they are kind of close. It's easier to see up close, but I'm sure with the camera and everything, they probably look a little closer. I don't know what it looks like at the moment on camera, but they do look very close together. So. It's like they made, when they did the model, they put all these ridges in to make it look like she was a statue. It's not the way that I wanted to go with it. If I wanted a deeper skin tone, I could always take the obsidian skin and add some black to it. And that's the beauty of really just painting in general, is being able to make colors that you want by mixing them together, like we did with the leather before. So cool. Really happy with the work we got in today. One of those things too, like I was talking about before, you just got to make sure that you get yourself past that kind of initial hump of like, man, I don't really want to do any work today. And it's like once you get past that hump, the sky's the limit. That's when I personally, when I'm like, man, I don't really want to do the work today, but no, I really should. Like, I need to get some done because, you know, I've got these commissions and they haven't been done for a while, so I want to make sure they're getting done, blah, 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 whatever. Those are the days that I usually end up doing my best work. Because you don't go in with a preconception of what you're gonna do, you just go in and do. And that sometimes is better. Oh, she looks so cool. This is one of those things where it's like, once you get started on it, you start realizing, oh, this needs to be this color, or this needs to be that color, things like that. So I had a general idea of what I wanted to do with her when I came in, but this is far exceeding anything I could have initially imagined for her. This looks so freaking cool. The base gets done too, it's gonna look really, really cool. Yeah, and this is just kind of where you're going in and making sure that you hit everything that you wanted to hit with the color that it's supposed to be. Because the washes will take care of some of that, but still want to make sure you're doing at least somewhat decent job of putting color where it's supposed to go. Fun part. Oh, we got like 2 minutes. Good timing. We'll get some color on her hair. What we're gonna do here is we'll get this mixed up a little bit. So we're doing the lightest gray that I have. That's going to be our base for her hair. And then when we go back over it afterwards, we'll go over with white to really just bring up the color. Yeah, and having some texture in the coloration to where there's some darker parts. Never a bad thing. That just kind of helps there already be shadow there. If you choose to put a wash on for the recesses, you can do that. Or you can instead just paint up from that base. It's really up to you. But when you allow for some differentiation of color, it really allows the model to shine through. So the last thing we're going to do today is this, but I just want to make sure I get it everywhere where it needs to go. Hopefully, without hopefully getting it in places that it doesn't need to go. I did that pretty well. Honestly, some of it back there not having color is completely fine because it's going to be covered by shadow anyway. And when we come back through on this, we'll probably do like a white contrast paint of the sort or something like that. But yeah, that's her. That's our storm wizard who is on her way to being done with her base coat, and our pyromancer who is on her way to being finished. But we should be able to at least finish one of them on Thursday. That's going to do it for me today. Thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Sorry you're off to the side again a little bit. Fix that. Perfect. So before I end, just a few quick things. Thank you again so much for joining. If you're watching this on YouTube, I really appreciate it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow this channel on Twitch if you haven't already. Follow me on my socials at Wheelers Minis on pretty much everything. If you want to see what's in stock right now in the store, wheelersminis.com. I got a bunch of cool stuff. Yeah, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for joining. Again, I will say it as many times as I can because it really does mean the world to me. But I hope you have a great rest of your night. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And if you don't, you can tell me about it on Thursday. And if you do, you can tell me about it on Thursday. So I'll see you then. All right. Bye, guys. Bye.